All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here for what will be my favorite subject of the day, because this is fascinating. I did not know that IOSCO was launching a consultation into the Finfluencer, but I have no idea what the exact definition of a Finfluencer should be. So please bring me up to speed. Sama, would you give me your definition of a Finfluencer, please?
Sure, thank you, Simon. So let me ask you this. Let's say that you are at your house, sitting on your couch, and you heard about NVIDIA incredible rally or Bitcoin surge. So the first thing you're going to do is basically, let me think about investing in those.
Yeah.
So you have two scenarios here. The first one, if you have experience in the financial markets, you're going to go to those tools like Bloomberg, for example, check about the stock, check their fundamentals, and maybe reading some financial reports. But honestly, the majority are not like this. So a lot of people will have the instinct to go and open their Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, searching for insights. Why is that? Because it's more simple and accessible. So here is the question. Whom you gonna trust in giving you that guidance? Is it a creator who just care about clickbait content? Or someone who has an experience, he did it, he tried, he failed, and then he gave you the lesson learned. That's why for me, a Finfluencer, it's not only about influencing. It's more about empowering people to take some of their most important decisions in life, which means you are raising awareness about how to invest wisely, how to manage your money, and how to mitigate the risk. And that doesn't really only require influencing, because again, I'm not influencing people to go and try a certain dish, or maybe buying a certain gadget. So I think a Finfluencer requires subject matter experts in the field, thought leader in the fields, that would really understand the responsibility that comes with the trust.
Let's hope that Finfluencers do understand their responsibility, and it probably shouldn't surprise us that, given most people get their news from influencers and social media, that they're also getting their financial education from the same place. But with great influence does come great responsibility. Shout out to Spider-Man. So what does this content actually look like, Henry, when we are putting this together and we're consuming it? Who's the audience, and what are they actually receiving? What does one of these videos really look like?
Sure. I mean, first of all, super excited to be here to share our passion of creating content with you all. I think every content creator, we have a different content we create. In my case, it's been very clear. I've been creating content daily now since 2016. And I don't see myself, I hate the term content creator, I hate the term KOL, we're educators. I'm actually also a university professor. I run a hedge fund in my day job, but for over 10 years, I've been a professor at university, and our job is educating people in an honest and fast and concise way. To give you an idea, right now, I have over 500,000 followers on LinkedIn, for example. I have 60,000 followers on my newsletter, and I have now a TV show on CNBC, and all these things led to that. What I found over the years is that the most difficult is delivering the content in an easy, digestible way. To give you an idea, my show that I have is the Crypto Capsule. It's a 60-second show on everything happens in digital assets globally in 60 seconds. That 60 seconds content takes me anywhere from 5 to 6 hours a week to create. And that is a big decision to make, what do you put in, what do you do there, and it's a creating for the ecosystem. I'm a firm believer that the future of Finfluencer or content creator is going to be people who are educating, but in a fast way, and building a community. For example, my newsletter that goes out, the open rate is 33%. Which is extremely high for anybody in the marketing field, and because you have a community, people care about it, that's what people want to get on that. Of course, it comes with responsibility, and that's why it's quite difficult. I'm very happy to see the rules around it, but I really believe this is the future of marketing, content, sales, is by content creators. You can have even a 100% community, or a million people community, a community that cares about you on any topic will go there, and as long as you're giving value, that actually you have a product.
Yeah, it's funny how content creators have become really good at taking very complex things and simplifying them, but are they doing it responsibly? And it takes a lot of effort to make things look so effortless. I think that's the hard thing. People tend to view it as a very simple thing. And first, I know this is something you've been quite conscious about with what you do at Baraka, but I'm interested, how would you integrate this work with content creators into buying financial assets? And what's the role of you as a platform in all of that?
Well, first of all, thank you. It's great to be here. It's great to be surrounded by financial thought leaders, because I think of you as financial thought leaders. All of you have your own mediums, and so we've crossed paths in multiple forms as I started building Baraka. And you know, this is the future of education, like Henry was saying. And so if we can work with financial thought leaders in providing education that then enables good investments or long-term investing, that's kind of what we look for. We look to work with the right financial thought leaders that can then basically positively contribute to people's investment knowledge. And I think there's a big difference between trying to build long-term wealth, and so building the right kind of education around long-term wealth building versus sort of short-term trading. And I think that also the scale of the financial thought leaders is very different from that perspective.
Well, unfortunately, we did see in 2021, of course, there was the meme stock craze, and there was a lot of crypto pump and dump scams, and of course, not all digital assets are created equal, but neither are all digital asset influencers, neither are all financial services influencers, and bifurcating that is really, really hard. So, Misama, I want to ask you quickly, and Henry, I saw you had a point as well. What goes wrong? What happens when something goes wrong? Like, play that out to me and show me the consequences of not taking that responsibility seriously.
Interesting. So, if the creator didn't really take that responsible content, definitely a lot of things might go wrong, as we said, the scams, the fraud, and so forth. But the question here, what if we don't do what we are doing? Which means, if financial literacy isn't democratized,
yes,
we are risking millions of people that might be at the risk of their poor or bad financial decisions. So we really need those credible voices stepping into the space, because as you mentioned, not necessarily the most loud creator is the most ethical. And this is very important, and we are seeing what is going on right now. And by the way, the meme stocks, the crypto, they are back. So this is, I think this is the time people really should be really cautious about where to put their money. But let me share with you something personal, and this is coming back to one of my discussions with Firas here. So I received several offers to push a high leverage CFDs to my followers. And by the way, those offers by hundreds of thousands of dirhams.
Wow.
We know that leveraged CFDs comes with really shiny rewards, and you know that. But again, it carries significant risks. So for me, trust is my currency with my followers. So the thing that if the creator prioritizes profit over the trust, here we can see, or I believe that our audience will really pay the price, which is most probably a devastated financial losses.
It is sort of the trust thing is your real currency as a creator, isn't it, Henry? But you can monetize it, and it can be extremely lucrative, sure, as Sama says. You were about to jump in a moment ago, and I also want to get your thoughts on the gap in financial literacy that was pointed out here by Sama as well. I know in the UK, something like less than 30% of people can know what APR is, and less than 5% can actually explain it. And yet that's how we advertised every lending product. So expand on those thoughts.
It's a big topic, right? How we actually educate and how we share. So first of all, it depends on the platform. So I made a very strong decision 10 years ago to focus on LinkedIn. At the time, videos were just starting on LinkedIn. My view is when you're at the office and you have your Instagram, your TikTok, it didn't exist at the time, people will tell you, what are you doing? But LinkedIn is accepted. So that was actually a strategic decision. So my audience is a very professional audience. Recently, I just launched a book, a kids book called Decoding Crypto. Again, it became bestseller, top 5 new releases globally for kids book this year. It's educating kids on digital assets. But that book took 3 years of work. We interviewed over 200 teachers. Because how you make sure you educate kids and you don't want them to go punt Dogecoin and stuff like that. So it's actually quite difficult to do. But the other big thing as well comes in is scammers and stuff. I mean, it's very interesting. Every week, I get approached by a crypto project, a company. They're like, hey, Henry, do you want to pump this token? Do you want to do this? And we'll give you a share of the revenue. And for me, the fact that this is happening in writing on Twitter, on LinkedIn, shows you how obvious this is. And I think it's a massive problem. And I think what we should do, I think as content creators, we have a responsibility to speak out against these firms, but also, frankly, a lot of the marketing firms in the market as well, who actually encourage these firms, and actually entrepreneurs as well, who are supporting these things, right? I think that's what we have a duty on doing this. But at the end of the day, it's a content, as people decide if you're not happy, and we have to compete as well, right? So when you're creating educational content, we are competing against somebody doing funny videos, somebody at a beach doing stupidities, you know, so it's even more difficult to create educational content on platforms where people often want to go when they're relaxing. So very, very interesting how this is going to evolve.
It's quite interesting to hear that. I mean, there are a lot of scammers and there is a lot of bad content out there, but then, you know, you look at the flip side of that. There's a lot of good content out there, and then there's some questionable content. And how do you look at this questionable content? Like the story of Roaring Kitty. Who knows the story of Roaring Kitty here? You know, that's the content creator that created the whole GameStop content that has 1 million subscribers on YouTube, that's basically educating a whole generation of people about investing in derivatives, you know, and he's teaching, you know, teenagers and people in their early 20s about, you know, topics like a short squeeze, and he's driving markets. Now, that's not necessarily a great thing, but is it a bad thing that you have hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are learning complex financial products, talking about it, you know, being interested in it? That's not necessarily a bad thing to me. You know,
but these folks are able to distribute quite freely through social media platforms, tech platforms, and everything else. I mean, I want to ask all three of you this. I'll start with Henry. What is the role of these tech platforms, if any, in moderating? Should they be moderating, providing guidance, providing watermarks, providing something, or is that more with the creator? Where do you see that balance?
First of all, I think there's two sides of that debate. I think as content creator, we have responsibility, and there's good that there's some moderation. But also, by the way, it goes the other way around as well. For example, there's certain topics that as a content creator, if you mention it, you'll get banned. You know, the interesting thing for me, imagine all these years I create content, let's say on LinkedIn. Tomorrow, LinkedIn doesn't like me, they cut me out. Twitter, if they could censor a former US president, regardless of your political views, it can happen to any one of us, right? And I think that's one of the things we're having. There's a lot of control. I'll give you an example. For example, if on Bitcoin, crypto, on LinkedIn, they're very negative. Ironically, I can go push a CFD with 20x leverage, is no problem. So it's very arbitrary, and often is done by actually automated tools. And let's not even talk about political views, especially in the region. Some of the recent events that took place in the region, if you mentioned one of those as a content creator, you immediately be censored out of the platform, and there's no even appeal. So these are topics that even content creators wouldn't want to talk about. Everybody's worried. Everybody self-censors it. And this is why I'm a big advocate of Web3. As it comes, I should be able to own my content. As a viewer, you should be paid for the time you spend making a choice to watch our content. I think our kids are going to look back and say, wow, I can't believe Google and Meta were making money when we were making a choice to watch this. And this is all going to change as Web3 comes in and decentralized platforms come in.
Ferris, any thoughts on the role of the platforms?
Look, I think everybody has a responsibility to produce content that is fair and accurate and not misleading. That also the regulators have a role in kind of moderating that content and making sure that that platforms, you know, behave accordingly. You know, it'll be interesting, like Henry says, if content starts to become more decentralized as Web3 comes in.
Platforms.
As platforms come in, sorry. But you know, content is plentiful, and there's lots out there, and you can find pretty much anything that you want. How we moderate it is it's just like anything else. It's very hard.
We know deplatforming doesn't always work, and so there are consequences there too. And we're in a crazy phase of that. Summer, I want to get your thoughts. You know, Ferris did mention the R word, regulation. What can regulators do? What should governments do? Because I think those are two different questions.
True. So, very interesting questions. Because basically, again, it highlights, first of all, the responsibility for the creator to differentiate. You need to differentiate between three things here. When it comes to advising, we don't do advice. I don't, like personally, what we do on the content is educational. We are not really giving financial advice to people to go and try things. It's basically guiding, and this is the difference here. So I have a lot of followers and messages keep asking me about, share with us your swing trades. A lot of people are here and they know that we really nailed it this year when it comes to the swing trades. However, the purpose basically is to guide them and show them the possibility.
Yeah.
It was not for them to go and copy a trade. Why? Because let's say that someone copied my swing trade and he got like 10 to 15 return. He will be happy. But what about if he lose 30 to 50%? He will be outraged.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a financial loss and he didn't understand the risk. So that's why I make sure that whenever we create any content, we really differentiate that this is only for educational purpose. It's to guide you through certain tools and certain steps so you can really do it by yourself.
It's a difficult tension because it feels like the audience wants you to give them the answer, and you feel like you have to give them the path to the answer. And the people who give them the answer get more attention because we are in a low attention span theater. So Henry, talk to me about how you condense that into 60 seconds and still build trust with that audience and stand out in an attention economy where there are people trying anything to get attention because it's lucrative.
It's extremely difficult, but I think the time it takes to create that content to make it valuable, you always need to respect your audience. For example, a panel like this today, you're spending 20 minutes of your life listening to this panel. If we didn't deliver you value, we failed. We literally wasted 20 minutes of your life, right? Same thing with content creation. If we create a minute of content, our job is to really make sure, that's why I'm saying that 1 minute of content takes me 5 to 6 hours in the back end. Often you don't realize it, but that's what it is. And second thing is what you're passionate about. I highly encourage everyone. When I started creating content, it used to cost me $5,000 to hire a crew, cameras, this and that. Now it's literally, you take your phone, you can do it, and honestly, some platforms like TikTok, it's so easy. It's not even funny. Every one of you, each one of you are passionate about something. It could be coffee making, it could be lighting, it could be music, it could be microphones. And for that audience, there is a passionate audience that cares about that and that wants to listen to you. That's why I highly encourage everybody to create content. This is the future. The Hollywood of the future is content creators. And actually, this is why I think the UAE is becoming the hub for that.
You share your passion. Final word?
Yeah, if I just, I need to add a point regarding the regulation. So there is two sides here when you mentioned about the governmental and then when it comes to the ecosystem. So I believe there should be a clear collaboration between the creators, the platforms, as well as the regulator to come out with a clear regulation, because that clarity, why does it matter? Because basically it will protect the audience, yet it will give the freedom to the creators to feel, to be creative and talk about certain subjects without crossing the line of ethical borders.
I love that.
Yeah.
Don't hate, collaborate, make it lucrative for everybody involved. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank my wonderful panel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.